and welcome to Talking Data, where we look at numbers, where we look at trends, and we look at all the interesting things that you perhaps may not find elsewhere. We're looking at the Union Budget 2015, but more importantly, what the common man is reacting to it and how is he or she reacting to the country. We've talked to over 2,000 people. We've asked them questions about how the budget will impact their lives. Will their expenditure go up? Do they feel comfortable about the future, at least the near future? And the answers are quite interesting. Let's begin with the first question that we asked. Will prices come down after this budget, right? This budget was in some ways seen to be something that will help the common man. But maybe the question is, what do people believe and how did they react? Yashwant?
This is the exit poll right after the budget was parliament, and I'm afraid that the common man does not really think after, as their first reaction looking at the budget or listening about the finance minister has proposed that the prices will be controlled or it will be going down. All in all, it looks like the middle class of India doesn't really look like at this budget that this will bring down the prices or will make the life comfortable to them.
Right, and it's interesting, Yashwant, that even as the results were coming in and your team was tabulating this, both petrol and diesel prices have been hiked. So if the poll was done after that, my sense is that people would have been even more, or rather even less charitable.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, and it's a kind of question which have been part of our tracking poll for almost 12 years now, Govind. And when you were heading Bloomberg, you know that this was a constant exercise, even Bloomberg channel, and we used to do this. What makes it interesting is that somehow this sentiment of the budget not really having any positive impact on the prices going down or checking the inflation is pretty much almost on the same line that we have seen in the recent years. What I'm trying to say that there may be high hopes for industry. There could be for the common man of Achhe Din, as we have been talking about, but the post-budget feedback or post-budget first reaction, I would say, is not much different from the first reaction that the Aam Aadmi used to give in the budgets that were given by the UPA government.
Right. Okay. So that's the consolation. But we are also going to bring out two interesting numbers. One is what industry experts say or rank. I mean, amongst the industry experts that we've spoken to on a 0 to 10, and also what the common man ranks. And you'll find an interesting dichotomy. But we'll come. Let's look at the next question. The next question this survey asked was, will the budget push up monthly? Right. The question is, will it push up monthly expenses? And this one is actually worrying. It's 60% of the people who were polled in this poll, almost like an exit poll, say that this budget is going to push up their monthly expenses. Yashwant, any more in terms of background to this?
Well, it's collaborating with the first question. I believe that people were looking to, in layman's term, some kind of relaxation in the tax slabs further so that they can have more money in their hands, and some other concrete measures which could tell them in layman's terms this is how to curtail the price rise, or this is how it is going to contain the inflation at large. Let's give a credit to the fact that, while the budget remains a highly intellectually stimulating exercise for the economists and the industry experts, we also have to keep in mind how the layman, how the common man actually understands. For the common man of India, this budget exercise is really limited to a couple of things, which first of all starts with the inflation, second with the corruption, so third would be the issue of the job, the creation of the job, and fourth would be the other basic necessities like development and the health and other issues. So we would be carrying out another part of it on Monday when there are fine prints are much more discussed by the public platforms in the mainstream media and everywhere elsewhere. So by Monday, we would be taking up a much in-depth exercise of asking people on the different measures or the different schemes that have been announced by the finance minister and different setups of the expenditure that the finance minister announced on the priority list. But as of today, the first reaction is not very exciting.
Right, Yashwant, from your experience in this space, what do people think of when they respond first? I mean, what normally is at the back of the mind when they react to a budget? Is it something that they've heard in the budget, or is it something that they expected to happen, which did not happen, which is why they either give it a lower rating or a higher rating? Obviously, in this case, a lower rating.
Well, somehow this is I mean, it's a very important question, how the public psych works. I think the public psych works on the top of the mind recall issues that we all know. Years, the top of the mind recall issue has been number one of the inflation and number two of the corruption. I guess that on the top of the mind recall, people are analyzing whether this will bring down the inflation, yes or no. Number two would be whether it is going to check anyway. And certainly the issues of the black money and the issues which have been taken by the finance minister today are in the initial trends. From those questions, they are going to be sounding positive from the public about the issue of the black money and about the issue on how to curtail the corruption. But these are the long-term steps. What the common man thinks that, okay, this is good, this is nice, and this is how you should bring up or kind of make a plan of how to make a fireproof building. But a good plan building might not necessarily be a very good plan for extinguishing the fire right now. So what people are looking forward is right now a fire extinguisher in their layman term, and which they also give importance to what the future planning is. But what right now, as on today, right here, right now is coming in my hand, this is much more important for the common man's understanding than a long-term planning.
Right. Right, and we've seen the budget documents today, and there are a lot of interesting things for which empower individuals. I mean, in terms of giving you better tax exemptions, health insurance, pensions. All that will take time to come. The biggest concern, as Yashwant says, is issues like inflation, which on paper again sound good because the consumer price inflation (CPI) and the WPI has been coming down steadily, thanks also to falling energy and commodity prices. But the real reflection in people's hands is yet to. This is what's driving their opinion. So let's look at the next question. This is the larger generic question. Overall, are you satisfied with the budget? Right? Overall, are you satisfied with the budget? Straight question. The answer actually is interesting and not, because 49% say yes and 40% say no. Only 5% don't know or can't say. So it's actually, there's just a 3% gap between those who don't like this budget and those who like. Yashwant, how do we read this?
It's an equal split, and this is the first reaction. As we have been saying that, this is the first reaction of what has been shown today, what has been discussed today in the mainstream media, in the TV, in the radios, in the social media, in the word of mouth. And this is probably the first reaction after that. Probably many of them start sinking in tomorrow and day after, when the public discourse or the public discussion at large is moving around what is the long-term theme which could be having a good impact on their life, what could not be having that kind of impact in their life, especially when the housewives are going to turn on to their kitchen budgets and figure out what exactly is going to help them and what is not going to help them. Many priorities are the household of a common man. Finance minister of the household is basically the females who are actually looking after their day-to-day affairs as far as the domestic expenditures are concerned, how they build up their mind in their internal discussions. These things are generally discussed in Indian families. Tomorrow morning, after the newspapers are there, a lot of people, tomorrow is being a weekend, a lot of things are going to be discussed with the friends and the families at large in the middle class.
Yeah.
Though social media is not that kind of having an impact so far in India, but still, even if 1 out of 10 is in the middle class, urban middle class, is discussing it on social media, it has its own ripple down effect as public discourse is concerned. So I believe in the fine print, we will see a lot in the next 2 days.
Right, and which we will. Yashwant, the quick thing. So 2,236 individuals have been polled here. Is it a roughly 50-50 male-female split?
It's a more two-third, one-third split. It's not exactly 50-50.
Okay.
There are less number of female samples as there would be in any
Okay.
quick snap poll kind of is concerned. But we believe that we will be doing a booster sample of housewives only on Monday, and we will know that what is the kind of gender split is there and how is striking a chord in public discourse with the common people and especially the housewives.
Right. So we've got some, I mean, a couple of quick reactions which I'll read out. You know, someone says, Nikhil says, this is not populist but a pragmatic budget. Common man used to be very happy with past rail budgets. Someone else, Rupesh says, petrol and diesel price hike is icing on cake for middle class. So obviously, we have to again point out that this poll was conducted before the petrol hike was announced. There's of course a general feeling that, not a general feeling, but feeling amongst this is more corporate sector oriented than the sort of Aam Aadmi oriented. Perhaps the fact that there was a reduction in rates, income tax rates for corporates from 30 to 25% over time is playing on that. Okay, so the last question we asked before we come to the ratings, which ratings remember are on 0 from 0 to 10 this thing. How do you foresee your day-to-day expenses in the next year, right? The question was, will it go up but manageable? Future expenses will be difficult to manage, day-to-day expenses down. So, yes, it's interesting because obviously this comes a sense of pragmatism and perhaps pessimism, because pessimism that the prices are unlikely to be contained. But at the same time, there's pragmatism that they can manage it perhaps the way they've managed it all this while. So 50% feel that price expenses will go up or prices will go up, but they will somehow manage. And only 35% feel that it's going to be impossible to manage. Yashwant, does this sync with the earlier findings or the earlier three questions?
Yes, it does sync, and especially if you talk about our pre-budget survey, where optimism was in the air. It seems that on the first reaction, people might be looking a bit disappointed, but at the same time, there is a pragmatism, there is an extension of hope, there is a feeling that, you know, economy at large might be doing well, and their income will grow up. The new job opportunities would. This is the kind of hope that is there. Now, whether this hope is actually met with the concrete steps on the ground, and if not in the first hand, the prices are managed, or it leaves much more money in people's common man's hand in terms of tax savings. There is certain level of understanding with the pension funds, which is not really a very old concept as far as the non-government sector and non-PSU employees are concerned. In the private sector and in the general public at large, the pension thing is as a concept is not really a very in thing for decades. I mean, right from the starting. Same is with the healthcare. We all know that and on Monday we are going to check out how many of the middle class we are talking are actually having a health insurance. You know, these are nice things to hear. But we all also know that how many people are actually picking up the health insurance, what kind of population is actually covered by the health insurance. These are the very serious issues. Now, right. Finance Minister proposal is trying to induce that more and more people take the health insurance, and more people make full utilization of whatever concessions that he is right. offering now. 25,000 rupees, that's a big amount, and people might like to sing it in taxes, they might like to go for health insurance, but these are the concepts which are new as far as the Indian social norms are concerned. Right. We are not really that kind of a Western society where health insurance comes as a default thing for all of us to invest on. So right. let them sink in. I'm sure that on Monday, many of the questions would be having a much more pragmatic look down answers.
And I do believe too that the sense of empowerment, particularly financial empowerment, with the whole linking of the JAM project, which is Jan Dhan Yojana, the Aadhaar project and the mobile, together creating more authentication, creating the ability to transfer money directly to people's accounts, whether it's subsidies, benefits or pensions and so on, is going to really create a more...
Very true. I mean, let's do credit to that. It's gonna take time. I mean, things just don't happen overnight.
Yes.
In the Jan Dhan Yojana, so many millions of accounts have been opened. That's a very credible measure.
125 million.
Once that money directly into those accounts, then I believe that the common man, because the common man or the Aam Aadmi thinks very much in what is in my hand as on today, right here, right now, rather than what would be coming in future in my hand.
Right. So last question to industry experts and to the common man. We asked, or rather, we asked them to rank rank the budget. Very interestingly, industry experts 8.8. Of course, this is in keeping with past trends. Most people, business, corporate sector, tend to be more charitable. The common man or the Aam Aadmi says 6.3%. So there's a difference. The common man is not as charitable as the industry expert is, or the business person is. It's quite likely that if you were to say that, I mean, you will not be quoted, or this is completely confidential, it might well reverse, or at least the industry expert might go down. So that's where it is. These are the results of the poll.
Talking to all those experts, Govind, probably all the, especially the India Inc. and the captains of the India Inc. So
yes.
I believe that there should be a caveat in there that what they quote on record and what they say off record. And I would be really interested in seeing if they can stick their neck out in off record, and their numbers would be probably same as the Aam Aadmi.
Right, and we look forward to that. And just to sort of wrap up the survey and the results once again, will the budget push up monthly expenses? 60% of those responded said yes. Will prices come down after the budget? Not at all, said 52%. Only a little bit, said 31%. Yet overall, are you satisfied with the budget was the question. 49% said yes, but 46% said no. So a mixed bag there. Remember, the stock markets were also quite undecided about whether the markets were good, whether the budget was good for the markets or not, and kept sort of going up and down all through the day. And finally, how do you foresee your day-to-day expenses in the next year? The answer to that is will go up, but manageable. And finally, industry experts have ranked it 8.8, and the common man is ranked at 6.3. That's the union budget. We are of course going to be back with more details and more fine print, as Yashwant said, and we hope to share them all with you here on Talking Data. Thanks for watching.